Breaking into today's most talked about film narrative, this story opens with a situation that instantly captures public attention and sparks controversy. A 20-year-old boy and a 40-year-old divorced woman become the unexpected focus of a relationship that defies conventional expectations and challenges deeply rooted social norms. From the very beginning, the tone is serious, observational, and reflective, presented as if a real incident is being examined under a public lens. The narrative does not rush into emotions but carefully builds context, making the audience aware that this is not a typical cinematic romance, but a social reality many prefer to ignore. The boy is portrayed as someone standing at the edge of adulthood, filled with curiosity, confusion, and the desire to be understood. He represents a generation still forming its identity, learning about responsibility, emotions, and consequences. On the other side is a woman who has already lived through marriage, separation, and social judgment. Her divorce is not just a personal event but a label that follows her everywhere, shaping how society looks at her choices and her character. The story highlights her emotional isolation, showing how loneliness often goes unnoticed behind strength and maturity. Their first interaction appears ordinary, almost insignificant, yet it slowly becomes the foundation of a deeper emotional connection. The narrative carefully avoids glorifying the situation and instead focuses on the circumstances that bring them closer: shared silence, understanding, and unmet emotional needs. Told in a news update style, the story feels like an unfolding report, raising questions rather than offering answers. From the start, the audience is made aware that what is developing will not be easily accepted, and that the real conflict lies not just between two individuals, but between personal emotions and societal judgment. As the story moves forward, public reaction becomes an inseparable part of the narrative, transforming a private emotional connection into a subject of open scrutiny. What began as a quiet understanding between two individuals soon turns into a matter of social debate, reflecting how quickly society passes judgment without fully understanding emotional realities. The age difference dominates every conversation, overshadowing the emotional state and consent of those involved. The relationship is discussed not as a human bond, but as a controversy, analyzed and criticized from a distance. The woman becomes the primary target of blame, facing harsh labels and moral accusations that question her character rather than her circumstances. Her identity as a divorced woman amplifies the criticism, exposing deep-rooted biases that are often ignored. Meanwhile, the young boy is viewed through conflicting lenses. Some see him as mature beyond his age, while others dismiss his emotions as temporary confusion. The story emphasizes how society often denies young people emotional agency, deciding for them what they are allowed to feel. Through a news-style narrative, the film mirrors real media behavior, showing how opinions are formed, headlines are shaped, and narratives are simplified for public consumption. Emotional complexity is reduced to sound bites, and personal pain becomes public discussion. The characters are rarely asked what they feel, instead, they are spoken about. This approach highlights the cruelty of public judgment and the isolation it creates for those at the center of attention. Rather than presenting clear heroes or villains, the story focuses on internal conflict. Both characters struggle with doubt, fear, and the pressure of being watched. The boy wrestles with responsibility and self-awareness, while the woman battles guilt and the weight of expectation. Their connection is tested not only by societal reaction but by their own understanding of limits, making the conflict deeply psychological rather than purely external. As the story reaches its final phase, the narrative shifts from public controversy to quiet introspection, focusing on consequences rather than confrontation. The intense attention, judgment, and pressure begin to reshape the emotional landscape for both individuals. What once felt like understanding now carries the weight of responsibility. The film deliberately slows its pace here, allowing the audience to absorb the emotional cost of choices made under complex circumstances. The young boy is shown confronting a reality far heavier than his expectations. Exposure to criticism and adult consequences forces him to question whether emotional connection alone is enough to navigate a world governed by rigid norms. His journey becomes one of self-awareness, where innocence gives way to maturity, not through romance, but through difficult realization. The story does not portray him as a victim or a hero, but as someone learning the limits of emotion and freedom. For the woman, the ending is deeply reflective. Having already endured judgment through divorce, she now faces another wave of societal pressure. The narrative emphasizes her inner conflict, between the desire to be understood and the need to protect both herself and the boy from long-term harm. Her strength is not shown through rebellion, but through restraint and emotional responsibility. The film subtly suggests that maturity sometimes means letting go, even when emotions are real. Rather than offering a dramatic resolution, the story concludes with a message that lingers. It challenges viewers to think beyond headlines and question the ease with which society labels individuals. The film does not attempt to justify or condemn but encourages empathy, awareness, and thoughtful discussion. In its final moments, the narrative reinforces that human emotions are complex, and real growth often comes not from defying society, but from understanding oneself within it.